Good afternoon and welcome to today's Caseware webinar. Today we are looking at year-end close. That's in AccountsAdvanced or working papers in AccountsAdvanced. And it's an intermediate level webinar, so it does assume some foundation knowledge of Caseware. But of course, we'll be recapping some of the basics as well as we go through. My name is Tom Jeffrey, Education and Media Technician at Caseware UK. I'm going to be keeping an eye on the session, making sure it runs smoothly, monitoring questions, that kind of thing. The content today is going to be delivered by Georgina Atfield, also Education and Media Technician. As I say, we've got some questions. We're going to be fielding your questions today. So if you use the Q&A option at the bottom, you can submit your questions to us. We'll answer as many as we can live. If we don't answer during the session, don't worry, we'll get back to you afterwards. We'll also include any questions on a Q&A document that will accompany the recording of the webinar. So we are recording. So the recording is going to go onto our YouTube channel, but we'll also upload an article onto our knowledge base. That will include the accompanying Q&A for any questions and answers that come out of the session. So I'm just going to jump to the agenda slide and I'll hand over to Georgie and we'll get started.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom. Brilliant. So the agenda then, you would have seen this on the website already, but I'm just going to run through it briefly. So we've got preparing the Caseware desktop engagement files. So I've got a few Caseware files we're going to go through on the screen today. I'll try not to jump around too much and cause too much whiplash, but basically we're just going to run through sort of an FRS 102 engagement, the different options on a charity, have a look at an audit file and a SmartSync file as well, and just how you get those prepared and ready to perform the year-end close. So just covered a couple of points there. So obviously look at the signatory options, the accounts completion section in particular within the wizard. We're going to look at roll forward cells and the trial balance. And then we're going to talk through sort of the year-end close process. And like I say, we're going to look at a SmartSync file as well. So what I'll do is I'm just going to grab control from you, Tom, and I'm going to take a look at an FRS 102 file. Perfect. Okay, Tom, can you see my Elfstrom Limited there?
I'm not actually seeing your screen just yet. Bear with me. There we go.
Yep, perfect. Brilliant. Okay then, so I've just got an FRS 102 file here, and like I say, I'm just ready to roll it forward, but there's just a couple of things that we'll take a look at prior to doing so. So if I just open up the wizard, and like I say, we're in the completion section of the wizard here. So we just want to make sure that the radio button is selected for final accounts. We want to make sure we've got our printed signatory names, so that allows us to select who is signing off the various reports just down here in the wizard. And then also we wanted our printed dates as well. So we just need to put our signature dates in for our various reports as well. You can lock updates for client approval copy. So if the accounts have gone out the door for approval, then you can tick the box to lock it for updates, and you can enter the date that it was sent to the client as well. But by adding the signature dates in this section here, that does lock down the financial statements, and no knowledge library updates would be able to take effect in your financial statement. So if you have applied an EPAC and you've obviously avoided taking those updates for the time being, then by having those signature dates in there, it would be the case that it would lock those KL updates from applying to your financial statements. So I'm just going to take a look in the financial statements. Got those open at the bottom, I believe. That's the wizard. There we go, accounts. Okay, so I just wanted to take a look at the balance sheet signature options as well in the financial statement. So we've got some signature options here just on this question mark. So it's just sort of presentation really. So how many spaces, line spaces you require before the signature to allow obviously the sign to take place. If you wish to include additional rows, so if for instance you had obviously more than 2 directors signing off, then you can add in an extra row there. You can add in the extra column. So for us, we have got 2. So that's why we've got that second column visible over on the right hand side here for Jimmy. And then we can change the lines as well. So you can have it as solid lines or you can have it as dotted lines if you require. And you can select to print the date after the signature as well. Okay, if at any point you wish to reset these, then you will have the reset button become available to you. So we can just click reset on that, and then we can either exit via this button here or exit via the cross at the top. And we can see as well where we've added signature dates into the completion section, we've got this padlock here just notifying us that no knowledge library updates will be taken. So that's everything within the wizard and the financial statements. If we head back to the document manager, I just want to run through a couple of things on here as well. So I've got this selected to show automatically the roll forward column here on the face of the document manager. But if you wish to show this option, you can just right click and show, and you can select roll forward. And basically what that means is everything by default will have a tick to roll forward into next year's file. But it may be a case that you've got some invoices or some documents, external documents that you don't wish to have to roll forward. So you can untick the boxes of the items that you don't require to roll forward into next year's file. Alternatively, you can go individually into the documents, right click and properties, and within here as well, you've got the roll forward option. So you can untick it there as well. If you want to do sort of a bulk removal of external documents to roll forward, or you wish to review those yourself before proceeding with the roll forward, what you can do is actually set up a filter up here. So if we select on the filter and go to filter manager, we can create a new filter just purely for our external documents. So we give that the name of external docs, and if we go to edit and document type, we can select external documents here and click OK. And OK to that. We've got that sitting there as an option. And we've got that filtered now by just our external documents. So if it's an invoice, you don't wish it to roll forward, then obviously you can untick that or likewise tick it if required. So if I select that to none for the time being. Another thing that we find clients like to have sitting within their document manager is a PDF of last year's financial statements, just so you can easily refer back to those if needed. Now, what you can do is, for myself and for you guys, obviously the 2022 PDF will not be relevant when I roll forward. It will be a case that I want a copy of the 2023 accounts as a PDF sitting in there. So what we can do just to jog our memory is set the PDF as a placeholder. So what it'll do is as it rolls forward into the next financial year, it will strip out the 2022 PDF, but it will just leave it as sort of a place on the document manager so you can drag and drop the 2023 accounts over. So if we right click on that and go to properties, what we can do is we can roll forward as placeholder here at the bottom. So if we click OK to that, What I'll do is I'll come back to this file and I'll perform the year-end close on this file a bit later on. But what I'll do for the time being is I'm just going to head into a charity file and we're going to have a look at the options within here. So if I open up the wizard, now presentation wise on the face, it does look slightly different with the wizard. Obviously we've got slightly different branding here, but effectively all the buttons and all the functionality remains the same. So we've got it set as final accounts, we've got our printed signature names, we've got printed dates, and then I've entered dates into there. What we've got, I just want to highlight, is this signatures option just at the bottom here. So we can click on the question mark and you can tick the box if the signatories are the same on each of the trustees report, trustees responsibility statement and the balance sheet. So you can tick that box if required. You can enter the number of signatories as well within here. So obviously, like it states, between 1 and 100. And then you've got these buttons, so you can sort the trustees report signatories. So if you need to move these about at all, you can obviously drag and drop those accordingly. You can reset at any time just by clicking on the button here, and you can cycle the appropriate title as well. So we've got Chair of Trustees, Trustee, and then it goes back to having no title if necessary. I did that just by left clicking. So you can make the relevant selections in there, and it's the same for the balance sheet signatories as well. So I just wanted to highlight sort of the difference with the completion section in the wizard on a charity engagement file. So I'm going to head into a SmartSync file now. Okay, so SmartSync, those that do use SmartSync and have a SmartSync version of Caseware, you'll understand that your parent file sits up in the cloud, and each person that takes a copy of that file to work on it locally effectively has a child copy of that file, which is fine. Everyone can work on that. That's not a problem. But when it comes to year-end close process, we need to make sure that all sync copies have been removed in order to roll the file forward. So we can see here that Tom's just in the file. So Tom, if I can just ask you to come out of there, please. Thank you very much. We also have the option down here. So in the bottom right hand corner where it says online, we can go in here and we can look at the properties, and it would be able to tell us who has obviously a sync copy of this file. So we can see that Tom has come out of his, so that is now grayed out. Myself, I'm in a copy, as we can see in the background there. So you can see a list there of people that have a copy and where it's located on their machine. So you can give them a little prompt if you need to when it comes to rolling forward the file. Alternatively, if the colleague can't access that file, or they've gone out of office, but you know that their file is fully synced, up to date, and it's absolutely fine for you to abandon that sync copy, you can force an abandonment on sync copies. If we go to Tools and Maintenance, we have this button here for Abandon Synchronized Copy. So basically that just takes out every person's copy that is on their local machine, and then it leaves you available to roll the file forward. Alternatively, this can be done on the cloud itself as well. So if I just drag the cloud instance over, I'm within Tagged Limited, and at the bottom are all my engagement files. And when you click on the engagement, my Zoom controls are in the way, bear with me. When we go on the three dots up in the top right hand corner, we can go to Abandon Sync Copy there as well. And then once all the sync copies have been abandoned, then you can roll the file forward. One thing to be aware of when we go to engagement and year-end close on a SmartSync file, we're going to talk through these options in more detail on an FRS 102 file in a moment, but specifically on a SmartSync file, you'll have the option to publish the next year file. Now, what that does is, as it says, so it just saves you a job. You haven't got to then roll the file forward and then go and publish it to the cloud. If you have that button ticked, then Caseware will automatically publish that new engagement file that you've created to the cloud for you automatically. Perfect. So I'm going to close that off. I'm going to chat a little bit about group consolidation and a year-end close on that. I'm not going to go through that with an engagement file on screen today, but it's just to make you aware that what you'll have to do is, with regards to your consolidation, if you roll forward your linked subsidiary files first, you can then roll forward your parent consolidation file afterwards. And then what it'll be is, after you've rolled forward the file, if you go back into the consolidation tree and just browse to each of those subsidiary files that are newly rolled forward, and then click Consolidate All. We do have guidance on group consolidation and year-end close process. If that is required by anyone, just drop a message in the chat and we can get that guidance over to you afterwards, because I'm not showing it on screen today. So one other file just to be aware of, one other engagement file is audit. So within an audit engagement file, we do have the option for lockdown. So this can be done prior to the year-end close. So under engagement, you've got this padlock for lockdown. So you can lock down the file immediately, or you can set it to be a predetermined date. So you can pop the audit report date in there for when it's been signed, and then obviously you've got the maximum of 60 days, and then it will go through and it will lock down the file for you. Right, I'm going to close that off. I'm going to head back to Elvstrom Limited. So a couple of other options as well. So we've got the roll forward tick box column here. There's other items we can show on here, so you can make sure that everything's been prepared by and reviewed by, if necessary. But otherwise, what we can do is we can go ahead and carry out that year-end close. So if we go to, I'm just going to make sure actually that my wizard and accounts are shut down. My wizard doesn't want to open, bear with me. There we go. Because we've got too many files open. Right, okay. So I've got these two invoices here. I've obviously unticked the option to roll those forward. Like I say, that's down to personal preference and what you require to be rolled forward. But you've got the placeholder set up here. So we've got roll forward as placeholder. Click OK to that. And then we can go through the year-end close process. So by going to engagement and year-end close, we then get this box here. So the file path will be predetermined as per where you have your Caseware files located. So for myself, I'm just going to roll this forward to my desktop today. It's just prompting me for a file name to place that on my desktop. Okay, so with regards to the file name, what we advise is you put a reference to the year-end date in there. So whether that be you put the physical year, or whether you put that sort of the 31st or the 12th 2024. It's however you will be able to decipher the Caseware engagement files on your system, because what Caseware will do is it will keep a copy of your 2023 file, and it will create a new engagement file for 2024. So it's just for internal purposes how you can differentiate when you go and find that file, which is the current year and which is the prior year. So we always advise that you put some reference to the year-end date in there. The other thing you can do is compress the prior year file. So that just saves space, basically, where your Caseware file is located. It will just compress that file down, and it's just for space purposes. We've got the update prior year data balance. So basically what that does is everything in the trial balance is going to shift over a column. So our 2023 figures will then become prior year, and so on, and it will leave our opening balance column available to import our 2024 figures. This option here for update the next year opening balance data with, we don't see that commonly used anymore. So that used to be when people would enter their TBs manually. Because what Caseware does is it brings forward the balance sheet items for you automatically. So your closing balance becomes your opening balances. But like I say, we don't see that typically used anymore because majority of people have a full client TB ready to import. Update case view roll forward cells. So what this does is it just wipes out some of the information in the wizard in key areas such as, so our completion section, for example, we've obviously placed signature dates in there that are relevant for your 2023 set of financial statements, but going forward we would want those cleared to be able to enter the dates that are relevant for 2024. Also with regards to share capital, so it clears out the share capital element for you to be able to input current year information, and bits and pieces like that. The other option in the lower half here is entirely down to you and whether it's been utilised by you. So for instance, in lead schedules, you can add annotations. So you can add tick marks, you can add notes, document references, etc. So if you wanted those to retain as you go forward into 2024, then you can tick the relevant boxes here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click OK to this. Now it's just going to run through the process here. And you can be anywhere within the Caseware file to perform the year-end close. So for me, I've obviously done it with the document manager in the background. If you are on the digital dashboard, as we can see down here, the digital dashboard tab, if you're there where you've got all your key financial data, that's absolutely fine. You can perform the year-end close there. And also if you're on your trial balance as well, you can perform the year-end close there. As long as you're in Caseware working papers, it doesn't matter what's behind the screen. So this will just run through the process. Now, to the eye, it probably doesn't look like it's done a lot at this point, but some telltale signs that it has rolled forward is our file name is now EL 2024, which is the file name I gave it. And if we look at the trial balance, we will see that everything has shifted over. So we've got our 2024 column ready and available to import our 2024 figures. I just want to highlight that the digital dashboard at this point does not change. It doesn't alter. So what determines that key financial data is the figures you're going to be putting into 2024. Obviously, we have no current year data in there at the moment. We haven't been in the wizard and completed our information in the wizard, and we haven't built our financial statements. So it's the financial statements with the help of obviously the wizard and the trial balance that populates this key financial data screen. So that can sometimes panic people and throw people off if they've performed the year-end close on this screen with that key financial data in the background. When it's rolled forward, like I say, people can be a bit confused and don't believe that the file has rolled forward correctly. Like I say, the telltale signs are the file name at the top and also your trial balance as well, because this key financial data will not be altered or update until you've opened your financial statements. So I just wanted to head back to our document manager. So we can see that those two PDF, those two invoices that I unticked to not roll forward, haven't. And then we've got our placeholder here for Elvstrom Limited 2022. So it's retained the file name, but we can see here it's left us with a placeholder icon, which has just got this downward arrow here. And if we double click on it, it tells us that it is a placeholder, and obviously that document cannot be opened, which we anticipated. That's what we wanted. So what you can do at this stage is I do have a 2023 PDF on my desktop. Just got my desktop open over on the right hand side. Just going to drag and drop that document over. So I've got an Elvstrom Limited 2023 PDF. You can just place it over the top and it will ask if you wish to replace that document, which we can do, or alternatively, you'd have the ability to right click, go to properties, and you'd be able to browse to that new 2023 PDF. What we need to do is just change the name of that to be 2023. So it brings the document over, it would replace that document there, but it doesn't update the name because Caseware wouldn't know that you're bringing over the 2023 file. You'd have to state that in the properties. So if we just click OK to that, that PDF document is now updated and I've got that to refer back to if required. So that's everything with regards to carrying out a year-end close. So we've covered obviously the AccountsAdvanced FRS 102. So the same process would be done for an FRS 101 and 105 file as well. So just engagement and year-end close. The charity, like I say, and like we saw on screen, it is slightly different just for the branding. And the branding of AccountsAdvanced template is due to change and be updated to be the same going forward in an EPAC. So you will become familiar with that branding in the wizard. And then the audit file as well. So you have the ability to lock that down prior to year-end close. And then with regards to consolidation, I've talked through that. But like I say, if anyone requires additional guidance on year-end close in consolidation, then do pop a message in the chat. Tom, have we got any questions at all at this point, now that I've completed the content?
Okay, we haven't got any questions come in, but please feel free to submit your questions between now and the end of the webinar, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. In terms of, yes, certainly we can. We've had a question, can we have the recording if possible? Absolutely no problem. So this is being recorded and we're going to be uploading that to our YouTube channel. It'll also go onto our knowledge base. Actually, interestingly, we've had a question come through which was feeding into what I was just going to suggest we could have a look at or talk about, which is, can you please send us the console roll forward documents? So rolling forward a consolidation involves a couple of extra steps, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So what you have to do with a consolidation is if you've linked the Caseware subsidiary files on your consolidation tree, you'll need to go into those Caseware files, so subsidiary Caseware files. You roll forward those individually, and then you go to the parent consolidation and you'd roll that file forward. And then after you've rolled forward the parent, if you go into the consolidation tree, so engagement and consolidate, click on each of the subsidiary listed. And when you go to the properties, you'll be able to rebrowse to that newly rolled forward subsidiary file. And once all of your subsidiary files have their new financial year, so 2024 in this example, then it's just a case of clicking consolidate all. We will send over guidance on group consolidations. We do have the group consolidation getting started guide on the knowledge base. That is actually the documentation I would send over, because there is a section in there for year-end close. For those on the call that group consolidation is relevant to them, by all means head over to our knowledge base and take a look at the group consolidation getting started guide, and that will guide you through rolling forward a consolidation as well.
Thanks, Georgie. I believe we actually have a knowledge base article which is for rolling forward a consolidation that has a video attached to it as well. So we'll include that on the Q&A when we follow up. We also have a question: when do you use the cleanup button? Well, cleanup would be to clean up things that you wouldn't want to appear in the rolled forward file. I'm going to stop talking now, though, and I'll hand back to Georgie.
No, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, you can run a cleanup prior to going through the year-end close process. So it's entirely down to you. If you wish to retain those documents in your, for instance, in our 2023 file, we wish documents to retain, and we wish those to remain in the file, then the best option would be to use the roll forward tick boxes so that you can eliminate those documents that you wish to remain in the prior year file, eliminate those from the roll forward. But yes, you can go through a cleanup. And as it states, they clean up sensitive information from the engagement prior to the roll forward. We can include guidance on the cleanup process in the Q&A document, but it's just a step-by-step wizard here that you can see. So you can retain the history, you can retain milestones, and you can go through and clean up accordingly. But yeah, let's include guidance on that in our Q&A document for everyone to refer to.
Lovely, thanks, Georgie. So yeah, effectively it's a bit of a housekeeping tool, and we'll provide additional guidance for you. We haven't got any additional questions come in, but as I say, you can continue to log those while we do the wrap up. I am just going to bring up the slides again, and we'll go through those last few slides there. And bear with me while I just do that. Okie dokie. So again, you've got the Q&A option there. I've just had a question come in. Can we roll forward accounts when it has rounding differences on the TB? So we do have, there are some settings in your trial balance view where you can manage how rounding is, how working papers handles rounding before the figures actually reach the accounts. I think what we're going to do is, again, include some guidance in the Q&A for you. If we need any more information, we'll also get in touch with you directly. But thanks very much for your question, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Yeah. Yeah, like Tom said, we'll include the documentation, but it wouldn't physically stop you from being able to roll forward the file. Caseware wouldn't stop you and make you aware that your trial balance is out of balance. And likewise with the year-end close process, if you do roll forward and then for whatever reason, have to make any amendments to the engagement file, so for instance, the 2023 file, and need to roll forward again, that can be done. It's not a kind of like a one-time done and then you can't do it again. So, for whatever reason, I can't think of a scenario now, but the year-end close can be done more than once if completely necessary.
Question coming: is there a way to freeze the prior year final numbers? Well, presumably that would sort of link in with the locking down feature, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'll confirm with regards to the lockdown feature if that would lock down the trial balance and stop amendments from taking place. I'll do a little bit more digging on that. I'll do a bit more research on that, and we'll include it on the Q&A document, and we'll come back to you individually as well.
Thank you. Right, so I think we'll go through the last few slides. Again, please continue to log your questions and we'll get back to you afterwards if we don't answer live. But as you probably have done for today, or as you may have done for today, just a reminder that you can go to our webinar page. That's at caseware.com, UK Resources Events, and you can see all of our upcoming events there. That's not just for these webinars that we're running, but that is also includes a schedule for webinars that other regions are running. So, for example, we have idea webinar series that's being run by our German team. You'll be able to see those on there as well. So you can see all the agendas for the webinars and register to attend. And we are going to be uploading some more over the coming weeks, so keep an eye out on the page there. As we mentioned earlier, we're recording the session, and that will go onto our Client Services Caseware UK YouTube channel. We've got a webinar playlist there. We also have other playlists for quick vids and other short guidance. So as usual with YouTube, the request is to subscribe and set your notifications, and then we'll let you know when new videos are available. And they are also embedded in articles on our knowledge base, which is at my.caseware.com, and then you'll see a knowledge base option there. You don't need to log in to view the majority of our guidance. There is some content there that is behind a login, for example, downloads for our super users. But for things like webinar articles and helpful guidance around year-end close and other topics, that's all free to access, so you don't need to log in. So that brings us to the end of today's session. We have finished a little bit early today, so I'm sure you'd be grateful to have a little bit of time back. So thank you very much for joining us today. Take care, and we'll see you on the next webinar.
Thanks, guys.